Hello and welcome to Gwent. So, the devs just showed off the new fancy arena mode, and I believe the initial impression about it is that it's not bad. And I agree with that. They didn't really knock it out of the park, but they didn't really need to. It's a very familiar system. You pay 150 currency, you go for a round in the arena, draft mode, you get very familiar rewards as well, and the maximum is 9 wins. So that's basically what you see in many card games, and that's a good thing because people can just come and see like, oh yeah, I kind of understand how this goes, and there's no need to reinvent the wheel in a way. And it's also pretty good that it's called the arena, because I think people gonna know what the hell the arena means. The first difference is that you draft from all the cards, and I understand why they made this change. You don't see this in other card games as far as I know. You kind of see it in some, like in Eternal you kind of see it, but it's a completely different system. But mostly the faction identity is preserved. You draft for a heat leader or a faction. But in Gwent that is not the case, and I believe this change is necessary because you just don't really have enough cards in a faction to really allow for like a proper draft mode. Maybe that's gonna be a thing in the future, but I think for now this could be the best approach, and I do commend them for coming up with a system rather than just saying that it can be done, at least for now. And the other change is that you draft 1 out of 4 cards, which is again gonna lead to more consistency in your deck. Now, this also means that you're gonna see, like, you're gonna ignore a lot of cards. If you pick only the best out of 4, that means a lot of cards are gonna be in the crapper list. That's kind of the downside of it, but it kind of makes sense because Gwent has a lot of synergy-based cards that are just really no good on their own, like Necker, crap. Foglet, like if you don't have a fog, you don't pick it. Harpy, you pick the Votan Hound, you pick the Siren, you pick the Votan Navigator, Arrakis Droll. These are old, like you don't pick it. He's not gonna pick these guys unless you have a good reason to. Even the Dao, like Vercat, like Ice Giant, like we're just going through, like we went through like almost half the bronzes, and we still didn't find a single one that you would say like, oh yeah, I would pick that. No, you wouldn't. And yeah, 1 out of 4 kind of makes sense. And the next thing is that you actually pick out of a random rarity, and that kind of leads us to our first real problem, is that in Gwent, rarity actually just stands for power. Unlike in other card games, like other card games try to be a little bit tricky about it and try to sneak in power right here and there, like, hey, I know you want to get these epics that are a little bit better than the legendaries. They try to be sneaky about it, but like point is, in Gwent, like silver means +3 power, and gold means +6 power on average, so that's kind of what you gotta think about. And obviously this is gonna lead to imbalances, and can be argued that, oh, but that's what arena is. You might go with a full gold deck versus a full bronze deck. Extreme example, but like, sure, we can just bring it up. Like, would that be fun? I think that's up to the player, but one for sure, it would be maybe problematic to design for, because we even saw in the test, well, I just go with the neutral golds, that they used Royal Decree. And what about this card? This is the great example. I'm really glad they picked it. You play a gold unit from your deck and boost it by 2. Now, what does it really mean? Well, how does it really work in ranked? You have 4 gold units, one is gonna be this, or 4 gold cards, one is gonna be this, and you just play the gold unit you want, but sometimes this is at the end, and you didn't get it, and you gotta be really careful with the mulligan. But in an arena mode, deck efficiency, deck thinning will be extremely hard to come by, and if you can have like 7, 8, or even more golds, like this is a no-brainer auto pick. Like you cannot pick something even faster than this. And that affects the card. Like, do you really want to start thinking about like okay, like we make this card, it's kind of okay for ranked, but it's gonna be an auto picking arena. Should we change it? And this is just the first. And obviously they shouldn't balance based on arena, but it's still gonna affect the arena, and it's gonna piss off players. Especially there's gonna be a lot of players who just like enjoy arena, and they're gonna say like, why must I pick Royal Decree every single time? Why is this a must pick card? And if it wouldn't be a must pick card if the golds were limited to 4 and silvers were limited to 6. And I wouldn't say that that would be undesirable. That I love draft, and I wouldn't say that that's a bad thing, because in Gwent, or like in other card games, rarity stands for power, and I don't think balancing the game in balancing the decks in that way is undesirable. And of course, the silvers can be problematic too. It can affect the power of a brewer. I don't really like that. He can play dwarves as well, but like silver unit, when you have like 7, 8, 9 silver units in your deck, like whoa, like Brewer Hog is just a no-brainer pick. And usually he's not that doesn't have too much of a downside in a way, but he used to have much of a downside in the past. Like sometimes you ran out of units, sometimes especially against like mail. If you got mailed, you didn't want to play your units. You didn't want to like play a unit that gets at another card because you get milled even harder. So he was just pretty bad. He was just a 4-point because you didn't have any silver units left. So his downside, that you don't have units, was irrelevant. And this is gonna be even more true so in the arena. And drafting from all the cards is a bit of a problem as well. I'm not so gonna, well, thing is, factions do have their identities, and it's kind of have their own synergies, but if you're drafting from all the factions, then you cannot rely on any of the synergies. And in a way, if you get bored with arena, you will have the option to combine like a vast number of cards, but you won't have like other options. You won't have like, you won't be able to like play like monster a lot of times, then just go with Nilfgaard and get a completely different experience. You only have one experience, and because it's gonna be solo and synergy, mostly you're gonna be drafting fat units. Units that put out a lot of points on their own, without relying on anybody else. But we're also gonna see cross-faction synergies, which sounds awesome, but it also can lead to problems, because it's also easily can limit design space. Like we see, like, let's just bring up a light faction synergy. Light. So Demon Longship has a synergy with Great Sword. You place it next to the Great Sword, they do their thing. Great Sword gets strong, and Longship gets strong as well. But you can kind of do the same-ish thing with the Mahakam Marauder, with Longship plus Mahakam Marauder. It's kind of works. I think this could be a good synergy. Obviously, I have to assume that this is unintended, because you're not gonna pull this off, basically ever. But there could be also some very strong synergies that could easily swing the game. Like, the Necker Warrior plus hand salt interaction, and because you pick the leader last, you might just pick some, I don't know, let's just say you end up with like 2 trebuchets plus 2 Necker Warriors, and you say like, bam, that's how it's done. You're gonna use the Necker Warrior on the trebuchet, even if you just say like, you got like, you use it once, you use only one. You play your 1 trebuchet, and you hand salt that trebuchet, and you get 3 more trebuchets. That makes hand salt really good, and obviously this is kind of like an unintended synergy. And they gotta think about this in the future for every single card. Like, and of course it can be broken as well. If you use 2 of them, that's probably gonna be a sick win condition that, or like sick tempo at least, that no one can really shut down, or at least overpower. And I think it might affect the replayability of the mode, because once you, like, you're dealing with very little synergy, not too much interaction within your own units, and not, well, usually Gwent doesn't have too much interaction with your opponent, but I believe it's gonna be even more so the case in an arena mode. And this is gonna lead to just you putting down big dudes. And that's probably gonna be your win condition as well. You just put down some fat dudes. Probably players gonna be saving their gold units for last. And if they get bored of that, they don't have like other factions to try out. I'm not saying that this system is bad by any means. I think they could go for some kind of a encouragement, some kind of a bonus. Like, for example, if you pick up like, or just like triple drafts or something like that. Like, if you pick up this guy, then you got triple right away, and you can't get any more of like this or something like this. Like that might work. Or just some other ideas, or like just a draft bonus. Like if you draft something, then you have more of a reason more of a chance to draft other units. Like, I don't know, let's just say like you pick up a Vault Navigator, then like you have a higher chance to get like other Vault Hunt units. Or that could be many things. But the point is, this system, I think it's gonna be cool for now, but I'm a little bit concerned mainly about design space, because a little bit about balance, but Arena is not really about balance. But I don't think limiting the golds and the silvers would be bad, but I don't necessarily wanna the devs to just like completely ignore Arena, or necessarily make decisions based on Arena, or maybe not make cards because of Arena. So I think that's not desirable. Anyhow, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.